Hello and welcome again to On Point Wargaming. Today I'm going to be looking at the SDKFZ 234 Puma from Warlord Games. I'm going to be discussing the build quality, the camo that I've used, and also the painting technique that I used to create the whole model. As with the previous unboxing that I did on the channel, this was picked up as part of Warlord's Black Friday deal. I didn't really have any plan for it, but I've managed to fit it into a couple of late war German lists that I'll be using moving forward throughout the year. So without further ado, let's talk about the build. Okay, so how did the kit go together? Really very well, actually. Quite a simple kit to put together. The biggest challenge you'll face is the chassis. It's quite a complex part of the model with lots of fiddly little bits. To my eternal shame, it took me about 90% of the way through before I remembered that I base all my vehicles, and so nobody was going to actually see all the hard work that I put into the chassis. Like I said, shame on me. That aside though, rest of the build really easy to put together. If you've put together any Warlord kits before, this will present no problems to you at all, and what you'll have at the end of it is a really nice looking detailed kit. As with a lot of Warlord kits with the turret, it can move. I'm a bit strange in that I always glue my turrets down. I think it's the modeler in me rather than the gamer in me. I don't like fiddly moving parts of my models, so this has been glued down. I don't think it detracts from the kit in any way, shape or form. Game wise, again, it's not going to have any great impact. It's just my own personal choice that I like to glue down my turrets. Like I say, it's more the modeler aspect of me than the gaming part of me. That aside though, comes a lot of extra bits and pieces. You've got jerry cans, you've got tools. These can be added if you so wish. They don't have to be. I've added pretty much all of the extras that came on there, and I think it really adds to the background of the vehicle, gives it a bit of personality, especially with late war as well. It does help you personalize your vehicle somewhat to represent the final years of the Second World War. But all in all, relatively simple kit. Like I said, if you've put together a Warlord kit before, this will present no problems to you at all, and you'll very soon have your kit put together. So once the kit was built, it was time to move on to the painting. So with the kit built, it was time to think about painting it. One thing that I knew I was going to be using was late war German camouflage. Now, the one thing I really enjoy about late war German vehicles is the wide array and the diversity of the camouflage that was used. From about February 1943 onwards, tanks and vehicles were painted in Dunkelgelb. It's a yellowy, beigey, browny colour, and most of the camouflage was actually applied by the crews in the field using rags, using mops, using airbrush type things. So with this in mind, there's no real set formula for creating your late war German camouflage. I've seen many people use an airbrush to do it, and the technique is fantastic. It looks really good. I have an airbrush, but my airbrush is really quite temperamental, and at times can make me swear for 5 minutes without even repeating myself. It really is that successful. It's also really loud, so I can imagine it would really annoy the person that lives below me. So I tend to not use my airbrush as much as I should. I probably should use it more, but I don't. I tend to employ it more for mass undercoating of infantry. The less I can use it, the less I swear and the less my anger level will rise. So what I've used on the last couple of vehicles that I've done in late war German camouflage is actually sponge, specifically the sponge from the blister packs from Warlord Games. Any sponge will do though. I just have lots of this lying about the place. It's really convenient for me to use that. How's it done? Really quite easy. You just tear a strip off, dip it in your required paint colour, knock off the excess, and just dab it and stipple it along the armour. From here you can blend it, you can add different colours. It's a really simple technique. Again, doesn't involve me getting my airbrush out, which is always a good thing in my book. And this is what I've used on this. All the camouflage applied on this Puma was used using a piece of sponge. It took about 10 minutes to do the entire thing. Once that's done, you can go and add a second colour. I'd chose to stick with the base colour and just one camouflage layer, and I think that it really sometimes it look a bit busy if you had a lot of colours, so I tend to go with one, sometimes two, but this has got just a one layer of camouflage on it. And so what I'll do now is talk through the different paints that I've used to get this effect. Okay, so now I've outlined the techniques that I used to paint the Puma and also the camouflage technique that I used. What I want to do now is just talk you through the paints that I use to paint the Puma. I work primarily using Vallejo paint. It's a system that I've used for many years now. It's one that I'm happy with and comfortable with when I'm doing my painting. There's many conversion charts online to convert Vallejo into Army Painter, into Citadel. So if you want to use any of these paints and you use other paint systems, there's conversion charts out there for you to work out exactly what colours you need. Now to base coat the Puma, what I used was Vallejo green brown to represent the Dunkelgelb. Now there's no real set colour or formula for Dunkelgelb. What I found that was green brown, it strikes a happy medium. It's not too dark, it's not too light, and once you've added an ink wash, it really looks the part. In doing the camouflage, like I said, I used the sponge method to dab and stipple the camouflage on. I started off with Russian uniform, again Vallejo Russian uniform, to add the stripes. Once that was dry, I went over it and blended it using Vallejo German field grey. It's a darker colour than Russian uniform, but it gave it a good mix of greens on that camouflage technique. Once those colours were down, I washed the whole thing in Citadel Agrax Earthshade. This stuff, I don't have enough superlatives to describe how good Agrax Earthshade is. Some people call it liquid talent, and I would certainly agree with that. It's a fantastic wash. You can use it across so many different projects, so many different vehicles, infantry. It's a really good wash. Once that had dried, I then applied Athonian camo shade to the camouflaged areas of the kit. This sort of brought out the camouflage a bit from the where the wash had diluted it slightly, made it look a bit washed out. This brings the camouflage back up, and again it's not too heavy, and it works really well in conjunction with all the other Citadel washes. Once the camouflage was dry, I went and painted the tyres on the vehicle. This was painted using a combination of Vallejo dark rubber and Vallejo black in a 70-30 ratio, with dark rubber being the highest concentration in the mix. Once that was dry, I just went over the tyres with a wash, again Citadel Non Oil, a really good wash. Use that on pretty much every kit that I use. Once that was done, again it was just then picking out the details on the kit. So I used Vallejo olive grey for the jerry cans, and Vallejo gunmetal grey for any kind of metallic parts as well. A final step was to provide some weathering, make it look a bit beaten up. What I did with that is I use Vallejo pigment, small amount, water it down, turn it into the consistency of milk. It's really good for weathering, especially on the green brown. It makes it portrays really good dirt, mud, streaks, weathering. It looks really good. What I would say as well is with the decals, I've not put too many on there. I don't really go over the top with decals or transfers. What I tend to do is put them on before you do any kind of washing or weathering. This way what you get is a faded look. They're not so stark against the background of colour. They look weathered. It just makes it look a bit more realistic. And again, what you'll also notice is that my vehicle's based, and as I mentioned earlier, I base all my vehicles. This is just simply a piece of MDF with the vehicle glued directly onto it. Having used grit and tufts and static grass. If you check out the previous video on basing for Wild West Exodus, a lot of the techniques that I use on my vehicle basing are used in Wild West Exodus as well. So that was it. It was finished. All in, I'd say it was a good 3 to 4 hours. Sit down, let's get it all done in a couple of sessions, and it really worked out well. And I'm really quite happy with the results, and I can't wait to use this in my games of bolt action. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you give you some hints and tips on late war German vehicles. Like I said, I really enjoyed putting this together. It was a really nice kit, and really nice kit to paint as well, and I'm looking forward to doing more in the future. What's up next? Well, I'm currently putting together a late war Panther using the same techniques as this, and I hope to get a video out about the Panther in the near future. I also plan to do an unboxing and also a painting guide to a late war Hetzer. As you can tell, I'm on a bit of a late war German vehicle quest at the moment, but I'm really enjoying it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to make any comments, pop them down below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.